So once again, with the latest breaking news that Etsy had announced, well, one of those things was AI. And I know that a lot of people want some clarification on what's happening with AI. Can we still use AI? What do we list our products as if we are using AI? And well, Chris Schaefer is going to distill it down and really answer some of those questions. Chris, what does it mean now, right now? What has been said from Etsy in their documentation about what we can and can't do using AI?
Well, Scott, it's about time they finally came out and finally addressed AI for product designs and what their policy actually is. You know, they had a little bit of a written policy. There was a lot of rumor and speculation. And then we actually did a video a little while ago. Right here is Etsy approving AI. And that came from our buddy Josh, the CEO. He sat down and did an interview where he said, yeah, it's perfectly fine. And unfortunately, most Etsy sellers still think of AI as one of two things, right? Either an evil spider robot that's coming for us all, or Wall-E, the most helpful thing ever. And Etsy here appears to have done a good job of, for lack of a better term, splitting the baby and saying, hey, look, we're not just going to blanketly approve it like it sounded like Josh was saying. We are going to have a few guidelines for sellers. The two biggest ones are that Etsy is allowed for creating products as long as when we're going through the product creation process in the Etsy backend, we mark things correctly. And if you guys didn't know, they changed all of the categories and they're expanding the listing form. Right now, it still isn't showing up on print on demand, but it's showing up in handmade and it's showing up in, what was the other one that we were talking about? The other category, digital products. So handmade and digital, it should be rolling out to print on demand because it doesn't make any sense that that option wouldn't be there. And it takes care of the only requirement that they have, which is telling people that you did it with AI, right? And so they're saying you can create elements, products, or customizations with AI as long as you are the person that is prompt engineering or typing the prompt in. Scott, we talked a lot today and we talked a lot in this update about creativity. This is the distinction they are making. They are saying, if you are the one typing in the prompt, it still requires your creativity. And I think regardless of your interpretation of whether AI is good or bad in general, you would agree that you could type in a prompt. Somebody could say, create me a dog. Yep. And the two prompts that we type in, because we don't have the same life experiences, we're going to get two big differences in those sets of results. And they're saying, if it's something that involves seller creativity in this case, then it's okay. So if you're creating an element, that's fine. If you're creating a full design, that's okay. As long as you're marking it when you're creating the listing. Again, I've only seen that mark show up, that little checkbox show up for a handmade and for digital products right now. When you go to set up a product as print on demand, not there yet, but it should be. One big thing that we've seen people doing that is explicitly not allowed, and Scott, it's because it fails the creativity test, is selling prompts or bundles of prompts. So they're saying, if you type something into an AI generator, cool. If you're telling other people what to type into an AI generator, not cool. Why? Not creative. It eliminates the creative element because you're telling somebody what to type in. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, okay. So I'm curious on that because I've seen those out there where it's like you can buy, a bundle of prompts for writing blog posts, let's just say, right? Or you can create, a list of prompts to create better Etsy listings, right? Because they're your prompts. You created them, right? You came up with the prompts. So it's interesting that you can't do that. The other thing I would think is like, because people have sold, they've sold templates that they've created with AI. It's still it's a component. So that's I'm not quite sure I agree. I'm not a huge fan of like selling even like courses and stuff on Etsy. I'm not sure that it's the place. Yes, you created the thing. I mean, Chris, you and I could take, and we could create, something to put up on Etsy for a training or something like that, how to have better SEO, like whatever. I just don't know it's the place for it. But from what you're saying is they're not allowing you to use or to sell prompts that you created because it's not creative.
It's not creative for the other person, right? And so they're saying anything that was created by your creativity, the end result of that. So your mock-up that you created, right? You mentioned like a photo template, right?
Yep.
That would be okay because you created that with the assistance of AI. They don't want you putting together a bunch of prompts that you used to create that, bundling those and selling those to have other people then go create essentially the same thing.
Oh,
And
I
I
see.
think their argument there
I see.
is that if everybody's using the same prompt, you're going to get closer and closer results. So it's going to limit the creativity in the AI space. And their argument is if they told Scott, if Etsy came to you, Josh Silverman came to you and said, Chris and Scott, I need you to go to Midjourney or DALL-E right now and create me a dog. And that's going to be the new mascot of Etsy. You would type in one thing, you might just type in dog. And I might type in, dog flying to pick up handmade products from Etsy sellers. And I'm going to get a totally separate set of results from you.
Yeah.
That seems to be the thing that they're looking at is what is the finished product.
Right.
And that's all that they want. The obvious other thing that they excluded is anything otherwise created by AI that violates their policies, like nudity, right? So biggest thing is you can't sell the thing that got you the result, but you can sell the result. And it's perfectly fine to use as long as you're disclosing it in your product listing. Now, the way that they typically talk about that, when they typically say disclose, it means mark it off in the thing. Right now, because you can't do it for print on demand as of the time of recording this, you might want to just write it at the bottom of your product description or something like that. But for any other product type, whether it's a digital product or any of the new, variations of handmade, checking that box should be enough to indicate that it was made with, by, or with the assistance of AI.
So then, Chris, answer this for me to wrap this up with a nice little bow. What does it mean right now for AI? It sounds like you're telling me that it's okay. We can use AI, but we have to disclose it. And we also have to basically, we can use the AI, but we can't sell prompts for AI. Like, so what is the big takeaway here for us as sellers? Like, how can we use AI? Should we be using AI if we want to? Give me what are we supposed to do?
Yeah. So if you're cool with using AI, it is perfectly acceptable on Etsy with a few basic ground rules. First, you have to sell the result. So they don't want you selling the prompt itself, the thing you typed in to get that fancy dog picture. You can't bundle a bunch of those together and sell that on Etsy because that isn't something that they consider to be creative, which seems to be the new benchmark that they are using. But if you're using it to create a finished design, right? So you're creating a bull running through a city and you're going to sell that as wall art. That's okay. If you're using it to create the new flying dog Etsy logo, that's fine if you use it to create part of or the entire product. They don't want you creating anything that isn't otherwise is a violation of their policy. And the thing they specifically call out is like nudity or adult material, right? And they don't want you selling the things that would get people the same results that you've already gotten out of an AI generator. So they don't let you sell prompts. If you're not selling prompts, you're not selling things that otherwise violate their terms of service. They are allowing you to sell either a finished design or any elements that you create with AI, as long as you're indicating that part or that entire design was created with AI assistance during the listing creation process.